Okay, so guided practice. What I'm going to suggest, try these, graphing them kind of like I showed you, then double check with Desmos. That's fine. But graph these kind of like I showed you, and then try them out. So you're going to do these, and then we'll move on to the last example. Okay, so for this, I'm sorry about the lack of room for number 1 in the guided practice. The vertex is the point 3, 4. That comes from this x minus 3, and then the plus 4 in the end. So I graphed my vertex, I graphed my axis of symmetry through that right away. That was my very first step in this example, okay? Now, past this, I picked the points, or x values of 2 and 4, substituted them in. I got these 2 points. It made sense because the graph opened down. So that's my quadratic function graphed as a parabola for number 1. For number 2, I got my x-intercepts right off the bat, negative 2 and positive 4. The axis of symmetry was the average of those two, which was 1. Graphed that, and then I substituted that in to my function to get the point 1, negative 9 for my vertex. So I could have, sorry, kind of messed that up. Should have labeled vertex as that point, and then this line was my axis of symmetry. So that's an important thing to have down, okay? So I'm going to try to give you some practice just on this right now, and then have you move forward, and then practice this double distribution after you practice some graphing. Now, it's hard to practice that graphing without a pencil and paper copy. If you have a chance to print that off, that's great. But if you need things, if you need paper copies of things, I'm at school every day. If you want, you can send someone there. If you want, I can deliver it to you, okay? I can just drop it in your mailbox if you want, but just let me know. Communicate that thing. The quizzes is going to be your practice, okay? That's what I'm going to require. If you want to use the paper and pencil copy of the practice, that's fine too. But I'm just going to expect you to do the quizzes. If you want to do something separate or different to still be counted as the practice, you talk to me and we can work that out. Okay, so I'm going to have you move on to the next step in the lesson, which would probably be just some practice with graphing and determining the important parts of these graphs. Okay, so this second video is going to be kind of short and sweet, and it's really review, and it's more on the algebra side of things than the graphing side of things, but I still want to show it to you because we're going to be dealing with these quadratics past this lesson in a little bit different way. So I just want to show you this, and this is called a lot of different things. If you know how to FOIL, great. If you know other methods, that's great. I think of this as distribution because then it helps us organize our thoughts a little bit. So when we're multiplying two expressions that have two terms, we distribute the first term, and then we distribute the second term, and then we combine like terms. So this is x plus 4 times x plus 7. What I mean by that is first, I'm going to distribute x through the second expression. So x times x becomes x squared. X times 7 becomes 7x. Okay, so that's me distributing the first term. For me to distribute the second term, I distribute 4 through the second expression. So 4 times x plus 4x, 4 times 7 plus 28. So with this, I combine the like terms. I know I've got some different colors going on here, but 7x and 4x are like terms. So what this becomes in the end, this becomes x squared plus 11x plus 28. Okay, so that's what I mean by double distribution, is you distribute the first term, then you distribute the second term. So I'm going to give you an example of that. Example 3, converting this. You see you've got the 3 multiplied on the front. What I would do first is I would just write this, x times x, x times negative 5. So to convert this, I'm still going to write the y equals. I'm going to keep the 3 on the outside for right now, and I'm going to do x squared minus 5x, that's me distributing the first term, and then distributing the second term, 2 times x, 2 times negative 5. So that becomes 2x minus 10, okay? So then past that, before I distribute this 3, I'm going to combine the like terms on the inside. This becomes negative 3x minus 10. Close parentheses. Okay? So now at the very end, this is when I'm going to distribute 3 through this entire expression. So in the very, very end, to standard form, y equals 3x squared minus 9x minus 30. Okay? So I handled my distribution of the parentheses first, then I distributed the number on the front. So in this next example, I'm going to start it, okay? And I'm going to show I've got the negative 5 on the front, and this is x plus 2 squared, that whole quantity squared. So what this actually means is negative 5 times x plus 2 times x plus 2. And what we can't forget is the little 8 being added on the end there, okay? So we're going to handle this exactly like the last one, except we've got to keep track of the negative 5 and the positive 8. So first I'm going to distribute x, so this becomes negative 5 times x squared plus 2x, and then I'm going to distribute 2, so plus 2x plus 4, and then plus 8 on the end. So again, you keep simplifying. Negative 5 times x squared plus 4x plus 4 plus 8 on the end. And then I'm going to distribute negative 5. So that gets distributed to x squared, 4x, and 4. So we're not quite there yet. And I know I'm showing every step, but I want to make sure that we keep this organized, because if you miss one thing, it throws off a lot of other things. So this is negative 5x squared, minus 20x minus 20 plus that 8 on the end. Can't forget the 8. And then this becomes f of x equals negative 5x squared minus 20x minus 12. And that is our final product, all right? That is it in complete standard form. Now, if I have a function that is already in intercept form or already in standard form, I think that those make it easier to graph. I think standard form is harder to graph. Now, the reason I showed you these exercises was mostly to prepare you for dealing with the algebra side of quadratics, which is what we're going to do next in the next lesson. So that's the reason why. So this, I included a quizzes after this. If you feel like this is something you need to practice, do it or don't do it, that is your option. What I really want you guys to for sure have done is the quizzes before this. That is the one I'm going to grade and put in Infinite Campus as your practice grade for you completing that, okay? So those are the things. If you'd rather do the paper practice than the quizzes, you got to let me know that, and then you got to send me a picture of your work for the paper practice. So again, contact me if you need paper copies of things, and we will work something out. If you're able to have somebody come in and pick them up, I'm here. I'll drop them by the front door for them. Or again, if you really need me to and you can't print them and you can't get somebody here, I will do my best to try and get out to you and deliver them to you, okay? So just keep an open communication with that, and then you can move on to the checkpoint next.